What is your name?
Philip Norton.
Are you married? Why did you come to the Men's Social Service Center?
I'm scared. I can't stop drinking.
Well, Mr. Norton, a lot of men come here victims of alcohol, and they've made it back. We have a whole program to help you help yourself. Causes of alcoholism seem to differ with every man, and we'll try to help you to understand why you drink. You'll have to work along with us. You'll have all the torments of just staying sober. You may have to stay with us for some time, maybe months, maybe years. There's no guarantee about any of this. Just a chance that you may become a new man.
What else can I do? What can I lose?
All right, Mr. Norton, we'll try this program together.
Philip Norton began life at the center along with many others. Men with a variety of handicaps and emotional disturbances, with alcoholism an additional problem to most of them. We got him cleaned up, put presentable clothes on his back, gave him a bed in a room he would soon learn to share with others. Then we started him on a program of proper nutrition. At first, he was too upset to eat much, but we knew he would gradually recover his appetite through the combination of good food and an atmosphere of sociability. In this environment, troubled men, withdrawn by the nature of their emotional handicaps, gradually learn to take part in community life. It's all part of our attempt to bring a man out of his defensive shell. In fact, everything we do at the Men's Social Service Center is planned for therapy, even recreation time. When a man starts with us, we give him a snack bar ticket. In spending it in the lounge, one of the common barriers is broken down. The subject, the setting, and certainly the atmosphere are like awakening from a nightmare. But when an incoming man like Philip Norton finds himself in bed and alone with his thoughts, he's likely to have a return of the terror that haunted his days on the streets. For now, the shakes, the dry fever, the pangs of sudden withdrawal from alcohol torture his mind and body.
Good morning, Phil. Why don't you get shaved and come on down to chapel?
Chapel? None of that stuff for me.
And what do you have to show for a life without God, without Christ? Many of the men say that the early morning devotions and chapel services have been very helpful.
I don't believe in God. I don't know what I believe in. I guess I'm all mixed up.
Come on down to chapel, even if it's just to see what it's like. God believes in you.
1,000 times a day they say they want to quit, for they come to us at the end of their rope. They don't all make it, but those who stay receive medical and physical as well as spiritual care. Eyeglasses, dental work, physical examinations, and prolonged medical treatment are supplied as essential steps toward total recovery. And the mental health of every man also receives careful attention, with the staff psychologist or discussion leader charting the progress of each individual case. Hard work plays a big part in life at the center, but one of the best of all therapies is to give a man a useful purpose to fulfill. Very often, something wonderful happens because men with broken lives can take their minds off their own problems while using their talents to restore or repair the broken and discarded articles which are collected at the center. Every resident at the center comes to realize in time how many people are bending their efforts toward his rehabilitation. Many of these are paid employees, such as the office workers at the center. The many women who work daily at such tasks as sorting, sewing, and pressing. And the truck drivers who radiate in all directions from the center's warehouse dock, going out into the community to gather in the daily donations of clothing, furniture, books, appliances, and countless other contributions. Their routes constantly charted by civilian dispatchers who direct the trucks on their rounds by shortwave radio or telephone. The entire program is made possible by the generous citizens who supply the center with a continuous flow of clothing and other reclaimable possessions. Without this uninterrupted support, the program would fail. Then there are the full-time clerks in the thrift shops, which are located strategically throughout each area, supplying items that have been made usable again at prices that otherwise would be beyond the reach of many people. This rehabilitation program is an important part of the economy of the communities it serves. But more important, it restores men to useful lives. We put Philip to work repairing furniture because his aptitude test showed good potentials at manual skills. Time after time, Philip wanted to quit. He kept insisting that he could not work with his hands. Meanwhile, we kept trying to uncover the roots of his problem, and in time, began to make some headway through our group therapy program.
Now, Phil, suppose you tell us some more about your school experiences.
I had this crazy idea about shortwave radios. I wanted to design them, build them. So I went to trade school.
How did it work?
It didn't. I was a sort of a family rebel, even thinking about technical work. You see, I came from a long line of professional people. My father and my grandfather before him were successful accountants. So when I didn't do anything sensational in electronics, my folks got me straightened out.
What does straightened out mean?
Well, they got me back in the family tradition.
Could you cut it?
I think so. I went to college and made my honorary in business administration. Then I got in with a good company. The promotions came pretty fast. I was assistant to the controller when drinking stopped everything.
Well, what started you drinking?
Well, I had this empty feeling all the time. Family tradition wasn't enough. I wasn't doing what I wanted. You know how drinking can be an escape. I lost my job. After that, I kept losing jobs, and my drinking became compulsive. It was no longer social drinking. My pattern changed. 1 in the morning, more at noon, some more in the evening. And then finally, solitary drinking in a cheap hotel. I'm sorry, I guess I'm not telling you anything.
You're telling us a lot, Phil. Now it's time for you to listen to yourself.
Yes, Phil?
Here's that inventory you wanted, Captain.
Thanks. Oh, Phil, don't go away. I'm going to take you out of the furniture shop. I know you haven't liked it.
Well, Cap, thanks a lot. Did something turn up in the way of office work?
I think even better than that. Oh, Bert,
Yes, Captain.
I've got that new helper you've been looking for.
Oh, fine.
But, Captain, I thought you understood. I'm too clumsy with my hands.
Give it a try, Phil. That's all I'm asking. Just give it a try.
We were still a long way from reaching the real roots of Philip's problem, but we were making progress. We had learned that his white-collar complex was just a complex. Philip Norton was a natural-born technician. From that time on, he showed more rapid improvement. In time, we rewarded him by putting him into a single room. After a year and a half at the center, Philip Norton still didn't understand or even admit all his basic problems, but he was finding his way. Outwardly, Philip Norton seemed to have recovered from alcoholism. Inwardly, he was still a poor risk for the outside world. But gradually, we got him to face the tender areas of his most deeply hidden problems.
What do I think about marriage? Why should I ever think about marriage?
What do you mean?
I'm not good enough for any woman.
Any particular woman?
Leave me alone. I don't think that's any of your business.
We probe deeply. This is sometimes very painful to the man, but we try to get each one to face his most serious problem and make his own adjustments to it.
Hi, Phil. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Phil, you didn't tell us the truth when you came here.
What do you mean?
You're married, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
I had a talk with your mother yesterday.
Oh?
Why don't you ever talk about your wife?
My wife doesn't want me. She won't even let my folks help her. She got a job and supports herself.
And your children?
They don't even know I'm alive. I might as well be dead.
We don't try to stop them from going out the door, and the door to the center is unlocked on both sides.
Come in, Phil. Have a seat. Let me call you back in a moment, may I? Fine. Say, fella, we sure did miss you last night.
I'm not worth your trouble, Captain. I'm not worth your trouble.
You came back, didn't you? That's good enough for us. Now, you go on upstairs and get cleaned up. Don't take too long about it, though, because you're going out to the farm this morning.
The farm? You're sending me to Lytton? You never give up, do you?
Well, they say where there's life, there's hope. And you're sure beginning to look like a live one.
The farm at Lytton is another of the Salvation Army properties used by the Men's Social Service. We bring men here from centers in the 11 western states. The men who seem to have the greatest difficulty adjusting and who just can't seem to make it in the city. Out on the farm, our men get fresh country air into their lungs and new kinds of work to strain new muscles. Living close to nature, they have a chance to feel closer to God. And at Lytton, as back at the center itself, prayer and group therapy are part of the continuing process.
So I figure if I don't see any of my old friends, I'm not so likely to get in trouble.
Good way to look at it. How about you, Phil? My complications were different. They weren't physical like yours. I thought I had to be a white-collar man or nothing. Well, you know, there I was, a drunken bum around the house, 2 babies, no job. And you know, my wife went out and got a job. She did. She got a job in a factory. Family tradition didn't stop her. She worked with her hands and didn't need me. And I went out to drink it off.
And for 2 years, you wouldn't even face the fact of their existence. You still love your wife and children, don't you? Well, how do the other men feel about it?
I don't think Phil has a problem anymore, and I think he knows the kind of work he wants to do.
I agree. In fact, I think Phil's about ready to go home.
Cap? Well, look who's here. I've been looking all over the building for you. I did it, Cap. I got a job. It's in a TV shop, and it's back in my old neighborhood.
That's great, Phil. That's the last thing we needed to release you. Oh, by the way, while you were in your neighborhood, did you stop by your home?
I wanted to, but I got scared. Cap, supposing my wife doesn't want me back.
You won her once before, didn't you?
I'll do it again. But do you realize how hard it's going to be to face the people that know my problem?
It'll be a great test for you, Phil. A lot of people don't know what a man goes through to make a comeback. If others would only understand.
I'll make it, Cap. With God helping me, I'll make it.
We try our best here at the Men's Social Service Center to rehabilitate every man we take in. We use the discards donated from the homes of the neighborhoods we serve to keep our men occupied. And to make our operation as nearly self-supporting as possible, through the money brought in at our thrift shops. We use this money to provide the facilities, atmosphere, and treatment of self-respect. But in the final analysis, we can only set the stage to give every man the opportunity to find God and seek His help. For it is only when a man finally understands himself and his problems that he is ready for God to perform the miracle within himself. This is the miracle toward which we work at all the men's social service centers of the Salvation Army. It's an endless program, always bringing more men with more problems, yet always with the hope of enabling these men to join the thousands upon thousands of others who have made the big return, the return to useful lives with their families, at their jobs, in their churches, and the communities in which they live. And each who goes forth is a bounteous reward for the love and understanding we were able to give him.